Cathy. Hi, Rachel. I'm Ariana. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
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 So, how long do you think each of you would last in a horror movie? Do you think you would be a final girl?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. I believe that I believe that I would be smart enough to survive. But if there was like brute strength that was necessary to survive, I might die pretty early on. But wits, maybe.
I think your wits would get us there. Honestly, I'm thinking
okay.
I think the wits with Cathy would get us there. I think I would be a final girl because when it comes to fight or flight, I'm a fighter. And I haven't had to fight yet, but I just feel it within me that if it came down to it, like zombies or like axe chain murderer, I feel like I would pull through.
Yeah, this is
not
Margaret
based on
right
anything, but just what I think.
And what is your favorite 80s horror movie?
Did Rosemary's Baby come out in the 80s? What's a psychological? No, that came out earlier.
Maybe.
I'm like not a horror person.
Yeah, we're not horror people. I can't do it. Specifically 80s horror movie.
So how was it like to be in a horror movie if you're not really a horror person? Because your scenes were pretty gory.
I think it was definitely very fun. A lot of the I think that one of the scariest scenes we filmed, it was like in this really dark, dingy place, but we were having such a fun time on set, like joking around, that we made the most out of the scariest locations we were in. I think one time we had a night shoot at like this really dingy area we had to walk through, and we were joking around the whole time, like in between takes. And so that made it a little more lighthearted being on such like a horrific set, horrific show.
Yeah. And what was both of your favorite scene in the shoot?
I think actually, okay, this isn't a scene that I was really featured in or anything, but when we got to be in the auditorium just to watch the wonderful assembly that I think you've seen, it was just fun because we were all sitting together and the whole time all we really had to do was laugh and react, and so it was just kind of all of us being ourselves and hanging out, so that just made it very fun. As Rachel said, we mess around on set a lot. It was a problem sometimes, but
I think my most fun scene was at the carnival. I think there's a carnival scene in the film, and the most special thing about this film is really the set design, like the intricacies. It was my first time on like a really big feature film set, and seeing how much time goes into every detail of like the set design. Being at the carnival was such a fun experience just to see. I don't even think half of the set is going to make it into the movie, but they took the time to create this incredible carnival set. And so just getting to see their work was really cool.
What do you think it is about the 80s that it's still such a relevant and go-to aesthetic 40 years later?
I think that it has a lot to do with, I watched some videos on like trends and the way trends shift. And I think that right now we're sort of in a maximalist time, and we used to be in minimalism. And so I just think the colorfulness, the maximalism of the 80s is really trending right now with like kids our age. And so I think that's why it's sort of having a comeback moment, which I absolutely love. I've always loved 80s. I'm more on the romance side of like 80s movies, but I think that that's a reason it's sort of coming back right now.
Yeah, and I would,
go ahead.
I would also say, like, just in terms of expression, I mean, like, there's definitely just so much in the 80s. I feel like with the color, with the shape, with the, you know, the play between feminine and masculine, even, like, I feel like it gave so many more people a chance to express themselves. And I'm just like I'm a musician, like that's my background, and so like also I just love synth, and so hearing that, you know, just gets you excited, and like a really really good drum, like I don't know, there's something about 80s rock and like it feels like people are like coming at you,
like 80s power ballads, like those really good. There was so much life in the music they made back then.
What would you say is your favorite trend for that time?
Denim? I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like It's just comfy. Big denim is cool
Mhm.
to me, and so I like that aspect of it. A little grunge,
I
which is
love,
not necessarily like my character, but
yeah, grunge denim. I think my favorite would be big hair. I naturally have big curly hair, and so everyone was trying to tease it up to get it to look big and curly. And so I think that just some of the hair during that time period, it's one of those times where if people tried to do it now, it would just be absurd. And it was so normal back then. Like if you look at old yearbooks, everyone had hair like high as the ceilings. And so I think that the just risks that people took with hair back then is just really cool.
For sure. And I feel like you guys are pretty different from your characters. How were you kind of able to channel kind of mean Margaret and kind of very meek Glee?
well,
Oh,
oh, sorry, go. I don't
no, you
remember.
go.
Ah. I would say, like our job as actors is definitely to access those parts of yourselves, but also because it was my first movie ever, like my first live action movie, I was pretty nervous on set. So that kind of like naturally made me a little bit shyer, which worked well, I think. Yeah.
What about you, Rachel?
For Margaret, I feel like I'm around a lot of athletes in my life, even though I've never been the athletic type. And so I've sort of been able to see those types of women in my life that just have shifted towards sports rather than creativeness. So I think just drawing from the women in my life, and like she said, as actors, it's kind of our job to get in other people's shoes. And in fact, sometimes it's more fun to be playing people that are opposite us. So that's kind of how I just got into being that sort of masculine Margaret.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, and congrats on both of your first movies. That's pretty amazing that it's this one and that you got to have that experience together.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.